Okay, Chazzarah, Simen Ayin, Siv Hey. Some people say that meat that was salted, I'll keep it in the salt acha plate that's called tirai. And the Yud Bei shows 12 hours to Vizhechezer Balem and Achluchas Dam Sha'alav. After it gives out all its tzir and all its dam, what happens is whatever dam is on the salt is going to be pushed back into the piece of meat. V'sha'al melach that's on the salt. Some people are matter it. So Pashas and Linda Mechaber here, it's mashma, same machlekes we had before in Siman Tzamach Tes with the Ma'aser the Rashi in the Mechaber Siv Chof, that Basa that was salted and it already stayed Shem Melicha, what happens now? So it's still coming out, is that dam? And is the melach still powerful enough to put back in? So Ma'aser the Rashi says it's mutter. Some cholkim and hold that it's also even after, if you leave it after Shem Melicha, you have to be madicha right away. Otherwise, it pushes it back in to the piece of meat. So if you look at the Mechaber stam over here, is mashma. The Mechaber is going down machlekes. And l'chatchila yesh lachos l'divrei oisrim v'diavad mutter. L'chatchila you have to be chosh for divrei oisrim, and v'diavad it is mutter. Now, if you look in the Shach Sivkon Chavdal, the Shach says that this is not dependent in the machlekes of Ma'aser the Rashi. The Shach says the Beisesiv Kosef the din zeh totally bedin the Siman Tzamach Tes Reish Sivchof, which is Ma'aser the Rashi. But there is Chatas Klal Yodal din Dalet Kosef da fill the Maid the Machmirin, even the ones who are Machmir over there with Ma'aser the Rashi. Ve'il le'esa b'klipa Hainu mishum dehasam an uroyim shamelech hoitzi oid hatzir u'ma'achar shamunach b'kli she'ein le'menukiv osem. Says the Shach b'shem the Teres Chatos, which is the Ramah, that only over there Ma'aser the Rashi are the machmirim. I mean, not only here's also machmirim, but the machmirim over there lav dafka machmir over here, because over there it's coming out into a kli she'ein le'menukiv, and you see tzir coming out, and it's sitting in that tzir. There already, the Cholka Ma'aser the Rashi, and they hold that aser is the piece of meat. Aval hacha, she'abasar munach tamad b'kli menukiv, lo ychashina da'abasar yivla min ha'melach she'alav. Da'af im yafle dam, mishuk sharik. Even if it's going to be the dam, even if it's going to be more dam in the melach to try to go back onto the piece of meat, it's mishuk sharik. Now we know we don't rely on mishuk sharik by itself. So what is the Shach saying over here? The Shach says at the end, even though usually we don't say Mishuk Sharik, Yeshleimar, we skip a few lines, it says, Yeshleimar Deshani Hacha, the Masha Yotzim min Abasar Teich Shim Melicha Shureseach, the Dam Mamish Kvar Yotz Lechutz. The Dam basically went out Lechutz. When don't we say Mishuk Sharik? When we're talking about B'shas the Melicha itself, when the real Dam is coming out, we're not going to say Mishuk Sharik. But over here already when you pass the Shem Melicha, so over here already the Shach says, the Ramah says really, that we're going to say Mishuk Sharik. On that we're going to say Mishuk Sharik. That's one thing he says. And then at the end the Shach says, even the salt that's on the piece of meat, after it was piled as dam, it doesn't have any koyach. So we can say the Shach says over here, even though Ma'aser the Rashi is machmirim that say that after it was piled as dam, after Shem Melicha, if there's tzir in the bowl, we answer it. Here it could be those shittas are going to make it over here for two reasons. One reason is because the dam already came out, and now it's only mob amo mishuk sharik, it flies off. It's not gathering in the bottom of the bowl. And B, the second reason is because the salt, after Shem Melicha, is already weak. And by koyach, in the tzar of these two reasons, the Shach says, even the machmirim over there will be mekel over here.
But Ma'aser the Rashi is still a Shem Melicha.
Right, after Shem Melicha.
Here it's sitting longer. The Ma'aser Rashi,
it's after Shem Melicha.
Oh, it was after Shem.
Yeah, Ma'aser Rashi was after Shem Melicha, and then it's gathered up in a bowl.
Oh, it was after Shem.
After Shem Melicha, yeah. The question is, after Shem Melicha, is it mutter legamri or not?
So what is the Shach saying? By the story of Michel, by the case of Michel Rashi, the Mechaber Paskin, that it would be, the first opinion was Mutter, the second opinion was it's Osir, and we went by that it's Osir.
Right. Well,
here, he's saying the first opinion is that it's Osir, the second opinion is that it's Mutter.
Right.
So the Shach is coming and saying, by the way, even if you're going to hold Michel Rashi, that it's going to be Osir, it's still going to be Mutter. But here, the Mechaber is Paskining that it's Osir.
No, but Yevid Mutter.
Mutter b'diavad. Right, but he's
before you also passed Mutter b'diavad, right?
In the reverse. There he started with the Yeshurmin that's Mutter. And then afterwards, b'diavad, we could be, but then you should be lochach.
Yeah, but the Ramah says
I'm not understanding what the Shach is coming to.
I'll tell you what the Shach is saying, because over there the Ramah says, v'yesh oisrim afilu b'diavad.
That's on the Ramah. But on the Mechaber he brings down the second Shita.
Yes, because the Mechaber holds it's told the same thing. The Mechaber holds Ma'aseh Rashi, and this is all the same thing. And he starts off saying, the Shach says, the recessive kosher didn't say totally, but didn't say the
Shach is speaking on the Ramah then.
So the Ramah here doesn't say,
correct.
But the Eved,
right.
Filled with the Eved
must be going on.
Why the Ramah? Yeah, Pasha is right. Pasha, the Shach.
He's not coming to explain the
Mechaber,
because right. It makes no sense.
Correct. And the Ramah here doesn't say, in Simon Samach Test, the Ramah says, V'yesh oisrim, afilu b'diavad. Here the Ramah doesn't say that. Brings the machlokes, and the Ramah doesn't say V'yesh oisrim, afilu b'diavad. The Mechaber says, L'chatchil yishmach shtivri oisrim, u'b'diavad mutter. The Ramah's quiet, so you could say the Ramah's quiet here, because it was already said before in Simon Samach Test. But says the Shach.
He quotes the Ramah in the next halacha, in Vav.
Who quotes the Ramah? The Shach?
The end of that Shach you just read. Kamasha Kazav Harav Reish Siv Vav, which is the next halacha.
Which part of the Shach is saying? No, what he's saying here is. What he's saying here is, Ba'afagav is part of his kasha. He said of it, Damashuk Sharik. He's asking is, Ba'afagav them nafa bosa shekva pol domo v'tziroi. Eitz of bosa shaloi shah dayin shem elicha. Aser, and we don't say Mishuk Sharik. Right? Over here we're going to say Mishuk Sharik.
Right.
What's the difference?
But he gives the example of Kamasha Kazav Harav in the next halacha.
Yeah, the next halacha there is
an example of we don't say
Mishuk Sharik. Right. Well, over there we don't say Mishuk Sharik. Why not? Because they're talking about
all of its damage should have already come out.
No, more than that. Because it's coming from.
You see the stuff coming out.
There it's talking about. Steve Vav is talking about the piece that's answering.
Yeah.
Is in Shir Malicha.
Is in the middle of Shir Malicha, right?
Yeah, so then we're not going to say Mishuk Sharik. Here he says, well, after Shir Malicha.
Right.
Here we're talking about a piece that was sold that they were holding after Shir Malicha. The question is go back in. So says the Shach, no, we're not going to say, we're going to say Mishuk Sharik over here in this case. Right, so it's two different things.
Mishuk Sharik is a real cooler, and you need something else to be
inside to it. Correct.
To actually make it viable and make it usable.
Correct.
If you don't have that other factor, you just can't use it. It's a very
right. You can't use Mishuk Sharik by itself. So basically, what the Shach is saying here is the Mechaber holds the same thing as Samach Tes Sif Chof. The Teres Chatas holds Lav Dafka. Even the Machmirim over there, we make it over here. Why? Because here we're talking about that it wasn't sitting in its seer. And before it's sitting in its seer.
Before buying my
Ma'aseh Rashi, it's in the Samach Tes, it's sitting in its seer. That's where it's more chomer. Yeah, and it's still dripping out. So whatever you say, says the Shach, we'll say Mishuk Sharik here. Now Mishuk Sharik, you ask the question, what do you mean we see in Sivav? We don't say Mishuk Sharik. That's different, because they were talking about the damage coming from a piece of meat that's in the middle of being salted. It's still with the Shem Malicha. So therefore you won't say Mishuk Sharik. Over here it's already after Shem Malicha. A. B. The salt is very weak. Says the Shach over here, even the Machmirim and Simon Samach Tes, here will be Mekal. So basically what's happening here is the Shach is speaking out. The Ramah here is not Magia. It doesn't say V'yesh Oisrim L'chatchila. V'yesh Oisrim Afilu B'diavad. Why not? Because the Ramah here will be masking to the Mechaber.
Why are we saying the salt is weak here?
It's after Shem Malicha.
It's after Shem Malicha.
It's after Shem Malicha. Yeah.
You still shouldn't do this L'chatchila, but b'diavad you can put all this together and you can come up with
Correct.
even to the Ramah.
No, I wouldn't say. Only according to the Machaber.
No, because we know the Ramah holds it. The Ramah does not make gear here. So you can say the Ramah is matter even the Chatchila?
Even the Yechiel. Oh, is matter even?
Yeah, that's why Eliezer jumped up. You want to be matter according to the Ramah even the Chatchila? Yeah, we don't say that. We don't say that.
I'm not sure that, and I don't. All I'm saying is that this shach, he's explaining the tzad of the Ma'aseh Darashi according to the Machmir. Saying even the Machmir might be makel over here.
Right.
So can't be talking about the Ramah because the Ramah already answered it back there. He's saying that this is going to be weaker.
Yeah.
So then if that's the case, the Ramah should have spoke out here that I hold like the Yesh Matirim.
So that's what you're saying. Since the Ramah is not Magi in the Mechaber here, the Mechaber says, the Mechaber here says that's with the Eved Mutter. Before it's Samach Tes, on that Mechaber, with the Eved Mutter, the Ramah says no, but the Eved Aser. And here the Ramah doesn't say that. Why not? Says the Shach, because the Ramah would make.
The Shach is talking about the Machmirin over there. He said that's the Ramah.
That's the Ramah.
That's the Ramah.
Yeah.
And he's saying even the Machmirin
even
there
would still
could be makel over here. Could be makel over here.
Like the Mechaber is. And
the Mechaber is makel with the Eved.
No,
that's the Kula. As much as the Eved
over there.
No, the Ramah was out.
The Ramah was Machmir. The Mechaber holds the same thing. Both of them.
Yeah.
And it's important to get the Shach straight. The Shach, every word in the Shach is for a reason. Shach starts off the way Seisef holds, it's the same thing as before. The Ramah, Taras Chata says, it's not the same thing as before. And what does it mean by that? It means by that, to hear the Ramah, could mask to the Mechaber, that it's the evidence mutter. Okay, Sivov. Yesh Oisim Litin Bosser Shalanim Lach Klal. Some people hold that it's Osir, and go through each sheet and see why they hold that. Yesh Oisim Litin Bosser Shalanim Lach Klal. Oisha Nimlach Upolat Kol Domoy. So you have a piece of meat that wasn't Nimlach at all. It was never salted. Oisha Nimlach Upolat Kol Domoy. Or it was already Nimlach and it's already finished all its dam. Im Basar She Nimlach Koidim Pleites Domoy. What do you have in your Shulchan Aruch? Koidim?
Koidim. Pleitaso.
Pleitaso?
Yeah.
The next word?
Koidim Upolat.
Koidim Pleitaso dam.
Okay. Koidim Pleitaso dam. Okay, it's interesting Lashon. Before it's part of its dam, if you say Basar Shalei Nimlach, or She Nimlach Upolat Kol Domoy, Chayzir Uboleya Memash Chaveroi Pilot. Says the Mechaber, the first sheet holds, Yesh Oisrim, that even if the piece of meat that you have, it wasn't salted at all.
Or it was salted,
Or
it was totally
salted.
Or it was completely salted.
and finished giving it
And then we ask for it. Now here is a big chiddush, because we know till now that if you take a piece of meat that wasn't salted yet, and you salted a piece of meat on top of it, so when you resalt the bottom piece of meat, it'll become mutter. Right, so this sheet we never had yet. This sheet...
But this is because it's Isser.
What's Isser?
You have...
No, you sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. Sorry.
So this sheet we never had before. This is what sheet that holds the heter when you're salting two pieces of meat together is a heter of what? Of Mishuk Sharik. When you're salting two pieces of meat... No, sorry. I did the Torah of the Mitzvah Leibola.
Right.
Not Mishuk Sharik. I did the Torah of the Mitzvah Leibola. So this Yesh Oishim holds when you have two pieces of meat, you're salting it, it's mutter for one reason. Because when it's spitting out its own dam, it'll never be Baleya other dam. So in these two cases here, it's not spitting out its own dam. Either because it wasn't Nimlach Bechlal, or because it was Nimlach and it's ready to pull out called Damoy. So that's the first shita. I did Torah Mitzvah Dam Leibola, and if you don't have that, it's awesome. But Yesh Matirim Aydei Melicha.
But there's two different things. If this meat has never been salted,
Right.
so then effectively when it's boilé, it's going to be part of that, whatever is boilé. Right?
No, who says that? You're saying when it's belayed the other dam,
Yeah.
when you resalt it.
Eventually you're going to, the piece that's never been salted,
Right.
eventually you're going to salt it.
Right,
Meanwhile, it was boilé down from the other piece.
right.
So when we salt it for the first time, it's going to be boilé not only its own dam, but also the dam that was...
So this sheet holds not that way. This sheet of Mechaber holds not that way.
Right.
This sheet holds that even though it's going to be spinning out its own dam, it cannot spit out other dam.
So where does that come from?
Yeah.
That's one sheet. The Ran brings out two sheets. If you look in the Taz,
It's the Ran, but like where does this idea come from?
because the Ran holds the whole heter. Where do we see the whole heter that it spits out other dam with it? Where does it come from? Because we know you're allowed to salt two pieces of meat together.
Right.
One on top of the next.
Yeah.
But if you hold the reason why you're allowed to do that is because I did a Torah Miflat loy bola, that's the only reason why it's mutter. So only when it's spitting out its own dam, it won't be belay other dam. But once it's not spitting out its own dam, it's belay other dam. Who says it gets spit out
No,
afterwards?
but you're going to
that's
salt
an
this
afkamina.
piece, so it will be parlay.
It pilots its own dam.
Oh, it's
But who
own
says pilots other dam? If you look in the Taz, look in the Taz, end of Sif
It's
Kotin.
Loyd Bola. It doesn't. One is Loyd Bola,
And what is
and the other one is Bola, but it's going to be Yiflet Masha Bola. Right.
Look in the
So we're saying
Taz.
that there's but even there, we don't know. So the heter is going to be many pieces together,
Only made at salt at the same time.
all together. So either you're going to have Mishrak Sharek or you're going to have IDD, right?
Right, so we have four different Aterim. So here's another nafkamina between that Aterim. If you hold, I did Torah Lemifra Le Bola,
Bola.
you'll have a Chumrah also. And the Chumrah is going to be that if this piece of meat is not salted, when the other piece of meat is salted, then it'll never spit out the other dam.
Is it halacha?
We'll see. We'll see in a second. I'm asking. Look in this Taz, Sifkat and Yodalit.
just because you say I did a Torah,
That's the only heter we have. That's sheet to hold.
right, okay.
That's the only heter. Look at the Taz. You'll understand it better.
Why can't you say that?
Look at the Taz.
It is bola, but then it'll come out
That's what I
anyway.
said.
But it cannot.
So say, look at the Taz.
Yeah, okay.
Look at the Taz Sifkat and Yodalit. Very important to see this Taz. Towards the end. For me, it's after the little star. Vayesh oisim dereisha svirale. See it?
Yeah.
Right before the end of the Taz Sifkat and Yodalit. You have it?
Yeah.
The Taz Yodalit.
Yeah.
Vayesh oisim dereisha.
You doubt it.
Taz Sifkat and Yodalit. Yodalit.
Dalit. 14.
Vayesh oisim the safe dereisha sviralehem.
Ours says v'hayesh matirin duration.
No, maybe it's later.
Hayesh matirin. Yeah, I also got that.
Duration,
It says Hagoy Sataz. It says Hayesh matirin duration ina matirin ela bedlasha shalanim lach klal.
No, but this exactly says what you
I don't know.
see.
I don't know. Maybe it's Yesh oisim.
Then it says v'hayesh oisrim. Sevirale.
Svirale, the
Ein
end,
melach machlit ela mashehu shalo.
V'lo
V'lo
mashma.
masha bala mokum achad klal.
Yeah, you cannot.
That's what that sheet holds. That's the first sheet.
Oh.
Oh, okay, I see.
You see that? Vayesh oisim, we have it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vayesh oisim the oisim svirale. The ein melech maflik el mashu shaloi. V'lo masha bala mokum achad klal.
Right.
So that's a completely different chiddush.
Right. This we never had before. This sheet we never had before. Till now we always held that any time it's belay a dam, other dam, not dam be'en, dam plater.
Right.
Then when it is resalted, it'll give out that dam also.
Right.
This yesh oisim,
Like fish also. Like fish.
yeah, also, yeah,
We said the same thing.
same thing.
It's fish dam and
Right, then it spits it out. Yeah. So here, this yesh oisim holds that the only heter when you salt two pieces of meat is because of either tar lemiflat, lebola. If the bottom piece of meat wasn't salted, you don't have that heter. It absorbs the dam from the top piece of meat. Then it's off, so you can never get it out again. That's the first shita.
So they have to also hold this shita. They also have to hold this notion.
Right.
That it only can be salt, only takes out.
Right, but it comes one from the next.
Uh-huh.
The whole heter, the dam, while it's spitting out its own dam, spits out other dam. Where does the heter come from? Because you have two pieces of meat and salting them together. What do? How can you salt two pieces of meat together? You have to find a way out.
So that's the way out.
So one way out is it's dam, it's piled other dam with it.
Right.
But the first sheet of the Mechaber holds no. The heter is because either Torah Miflat, it's leibola. It's not baleya. But if it's not spitting out its own dam, it's not salted yet. It is baleya. Once it's baleya, you don't find any other term.
In these two cases, it's not ID Torah.
Right.
Because it's not.
So either Torah.
Right.
That's these two cases. Both of them are not either Torah. Either because the way it spit out all its
It's not
dam,
ID Torah, but it's ID the Yiflet.
but it doesn't hold that.
Right.
The first sheet doesn't hold that. Yeah.
It's a different language.
Yeah.
It's not ID Torah. It's ID.
Right. The first sheet in the Mechaber won't hold that way.
Right.
Look a little confused, Ken.
Don't worry about me.
He has that look all year.
That's the first shita. Now, v'yesh matirim. V'yesh matirim ayidei melicha. And ayidei melicha sheim lechenu achakach. Ki oz yaflet kol dam shabola. Now, what does this mean? This yesh matirim, the Shach speaks out. Kloimar, Shach sivkon chav zayin. Kloimar yesh matirim b'basa shaloi limlach klal. Right? Ayidei melicha. Achakach, shekemoy sheyiflet achakach dam shel atzmai, yiflet dam dachrini.
Which is the exact opposite of the sheet.
Right, right. That's yes. But according to this Matirim, we're only going to be matter which case?
It's never been nimla.
The first case, right?
When it's never been
So nimlach, but the case
Never
was
been salted? That's
right. But the case was nimlach, who pull out kol damai. This yes Matirim won't be matter that case.
But you're going to salt a piece of meat, is blood going to come out? And
Yeah, but once it was salted already, and all the dam came out.
oh, after the fact.
Yeah, then you can't go ahead
Yeah,
and resalt it.
after
That's what the
the
shit is going to hold.
because it only works if it has its own.
Only if it has its own dam, right?
Any more of its own dam,
Correct.
it can't fix itself.
Right, either the pull out its own dam, it's pilot the dam that came in with it. For yesh matirim, another sheet of b'cholzeh. What's b'cholzeh?
Okay.
Everything that we talked.
All the cases, even in the case of where it spit out
Where it's already
all its dam,
Right.
and it was belay a new dam. Still, when you resalt it, it's going to spit out the dam also, the new dam.
Right.
If you look in the mechaber, in the shach, yesh matirim b'cholzeh, klaim afil b'sefer, the last part dam shall asma afil hachim muta yedei malicha achakach. Whose sheet is this? If you remember last week,
Anyway.
no, the Baruch Sharashi, Chazzarah. If you remember last week in the Prima Godim, in the beginning of the Siman, he brought down the 4 shitas, and then he says, "Oy de Baruch ki Rajba Baruch, hevi v'shem mixas Rabbisav, that fill the bottles of Paul at Kol Dam Vitziroi, shenimlach and bottles shesh by Dam, afil hachi mahanishim lechenu, the av dam ma'almo nami pilot." Even though it's not being pilot its own dam, it's pilot dam yam. That's a shita of the mixas Rabbisav of Rashi,
Right.
of the Rajba. I'm sorry, right?
Because he basically says kabbalah kachpolter. So
But any dam that comes in, any dam plate that comes in, it can spit out. It doesn't have to be spitting out its own dam. Those are the 3 sheetas we have here in the mechaber.
If you have, so he doesn't even hold of the 4th shita of the Mishrik Sharik, Rabbeinu Tam,
Pashtus. That's what the Shach is learning.
because then you wouldn't need to resalt.
Right. If you hold like the sheetas of Benetan, the Mishuk Sharik,
right.
You don't have
then
to-
everything is mutter, no matter what. They never have to be salted.
But you see that the Rabbeinu Tam says a Mishra Shur can work on it by itself. We said it can never
Right.
work by itself.
The Benetan, we don't hold that way.
Rabbeinu Tam
The
holds.
Benetan holds that way.
But
If
we-
you look in the Goyen, I wasn't going to bring it up. Once you brought it up, we'll speak it out. The Goyen says the Yesh Matirim B'chol Zeh is the Rabbeinu Tam. So you don't have to go ahead and resalt it again. If you look in the Goyen, V'yesh Matirim, Rot Tzolayim, it's Ois
Although the
Chav
Shach says
Tes.
with Melicha.
Ba.
The Shach says with Melicha.
The Shach is with Melicha because the Shach is not going to Rabbeinu Tam here.
Right.
The Goyen learns this Yesh Matirim B'chol Zeh is the Rabbeinu Tam sheet. If you look at the end of the Gra, Sifkot and Chav Tes, V'yesh Matirim, Rot Tzolayim, Afilu B'Sefer, V'ma Shekhtavtish Ayin, V'ma Shekhtavtish Ayin Beis, B'Shem Rabbeinu Tam, V'ayin Sham V'Reseyim Shal Kol Echad Baruch. Shit the Rabbeinu Tam is Mishuk Sharik.
Right. So it never goes in.
So it never goes in the Chatchila. That's how the Goyen learns this Yesh Matirim, the Shachtas learn the Yesh Matirim that way. Those are the 3 shittas in the Mechaber. Now says the Ramah, V'afilu b'di'eved nehagim la'asroi. So the Mechaber brought down all 3 shittas, and the Mechaber says l'chatchila yesh lachish l'divrei oisrim. L'chatchila, but the Eved is mashma, you can be semich even on the Rabbisav of the Rajba. And the Ramah is going to argue on that, and the Ramah is going to say, l'chatchila yesh lachish l'divrei oisrim, says the Ramah more than yesh l'chatchila. Afilu b'di'eved nehagim la'asroi, im nafal basa shekvar polat kol domoi, v'tziroi, eitzel basa shleisha adayin shem melicha. Says the Ramah, he's going to be machmer. We're not going to go with the Rabbisav of the Rajba. We'll only be matir with the middle Yesh Matirim of the Mechaber. As if it wasn't salted yet, and you resalt it, it'll be okay. but once it was salted, all the dam came out, and then it's balei dam, we're not going to be matter it.
Now, the Mechaber doesn't get into the how many hours.
No.
Only the Ramaz.
Only the Ramaz are going to what's called.
So what do we make of the Mechaber? In other words, do we learn that it makes no difference as long as within the Shir Melicha?
I don't know what the Mechaber holds. If you have to have Meis La'is or Yud Be'Shois, I don't know.
It doesn't say anything.
Right. It's only in the Ramah that he starts to say, well,
It doesn't say it means it doesn't matter to him.
Right. I'm not sure what the
The
Mechaber is
thing
going.
about the Ramah says Shekvar Poli Kol Damo V'Tziro, and the Mechaber is talking about Kol Damo. Is that a major difference to them?
It is a major difference.
Kol Damo in Bata Shinimach, Shinimach Apol Kol Damoy. I don't know. I mean, the Pasha of Mechaber means Damoy V'Tziroi.
Because there it says that still the tear is there, so maybe the dam will still come out with the tear.
Yeah, the Shach speaks it out. If you look in the Shach Sivkon Chavav, he speaks out. Shach Sivkon Chavav. Oisha Nimlach, Upalat Kol Damoy, right? V'hudach, and you washed it off, so now it's Nistamun Nikra Plato. Kelim B'Torah Zabayis Abaran V'Nir Hainem Shem Nekivin Hudach Achashem Alichosai the Stamam Nikra Plato the Chosai Chavav Aval Imlay Hudach Aval Imlay Hudach Av Shekvar Palat Kol Damoy V'Kamok Am Kivin Shadayin Pilot Shir Einoi V'Leya.
So he is like holding by the Mechaber says.
Right.
He really means Kol Damo.
But because you did not docha afterwards.
Right.
But if you didn't do adocha, you have to wait till Kol Tziro. Inami, Masha Kosev Hatura Mechaber Palat Kol Damoy Rotzalomer Damoy V'Tziroi.
So it's two different ways to learn.
Right. It means Damoy V'Tziroi. So the Mechaber, it's not Mechoikis, the Mechaber and the Ramah on that. Yeah. So Shach was bothered by your Ara, and he speaks it out, and it means either means Damoy V'Tziroi or means Damoy V'Hadacha. Fine. So the Ramah says we're machmir, and we hold that in the case of where it was Polat called Dama V'Tziroi, and now it was Balei Adam, we're not going to be Mekel. The Yesh Oimrim Shekol Meis Leis V'Achash Nimlach Pilot Tzir. The whole Meis Leis is Pilot Tzir. V'Im Naga Taiz Manzel Lebatosh Nimlach V'Lei Shar Dain Shem Melicha Eiden Eser. Right, as long as it's being part of the tzir, we said, it won't become aser. V'chein hagin, and that's the minig. Ach b'mokem she'ein hefsem meruba, in a case where there's no hefsem meruba, yesh la'asroi la'achar yud be'shois. After 12 hours already, we say it's not being pilot anymore tzir, and if it's balei adam, you'll aser a piece of meat. V'kaidon lezeh ein l'hachmer klal, and before the shiv yud be'shois, there's no reason to be machmir, and it's mutter. For Kolskin, sure, if it wasn't Nimlach at all, then of course it would be pilot the dam that it was Belay if you resalted it afterwards. If you salted it afterwards. Now, there's a Shach and Tassis that are very important to see. If you look in the Shach, Sivkon Chav Tes, what we're going to do is over here, we're going to lay down a few foundations, and then you have to apply it to cases. The sheets that go through 6 cases, the 6 steps, and 3 different cases. We're not going to go through all of that. I think we'll just get confused.
Each case we were learning. I mean, each case that we've learned is how many hours,
right?
And hudach or loy hudach.
Right. So we're just going to go through the Yesodis here, and that's the main thing you have to remember.
30 possibilities.
Once you remember the Yesodis, then you can apply it yourself. So let's see here. The Shach, a very important Shach, Sivkon Chav Tes. The Shach says. Let's skip the first part of the Shach. The Shach says, "A Masha Kosev HaMechaber." In the Old Shulchan Aruch, the second one of the wide lines. I'm not sure in the new ones where it is. "A Masha Kosev HaMechaber."
Down on the white line. The very end.
Okay, Masha Kosev HaMechaber lahatir b'di'eved b'bosa shalanim lach klal. This is that the Mechaber was matir by bosa shalanim lach klal. Mairi shehudach v'tchila. He did adocha rishayna, right? Bosa shel nimlach klal. You put it together with bosa that wasn't nimlach. It must be talking about when you did adocha rishayna. Dim loikein Typically, the nimlach below adacha kamaisa. To also fill with the evet. If not, the salt is going to push it down be'en, and it's going to answer it. Pnei shamelach mavliyai v'dam be'en she'ala ve'ein yetzer shuv loya de melicha v'loya de tzliya k'd'el simen samachtas. Sleep base. So says the Shach, you should know this whole halacha that we're saying here that a piece of meat that wasn't not salted yet, and it's belayed down from another piece of meat that gives it out. One thing you have to know, it's talking about we did adacha rishona. If you did adacha rishona, it's automatically also, because the melicha will push in down be'en into the piece of meat, and that never comes out. That's A.
But the pashtus of the mechaber is that he didn't do the
Adacha rishona. Pashtus lost Haramah and mechaber.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So says the Shach.
Shach is saying.
Shach saying you have to have adacha rishona. Even though it's a speaking out, the Masha Chasav and Mechaber had to be the Ev, the Basel, and Nimlach Klal, Mayrish Hudach Metchila. It has to be talking Hudach Metchila. Even though the Mechaber doesn't speak it out, says the Shach on his own, it must be talking about when he did Adacha Rishona.
How do you see the Mechaber then? It sounds like he's talking about...
The Mechaber doesn't say Adacha Rishona. It just says, Basel Nimlach Klal, Yesh Matir, even though it wasn't Nimlach Klal. Who say the Adacha Rishona?
Who says didn't know?
Yeah, the Chalami.
It doesn't say.
Doesn't say, yeah, the Chalami. So the Shach says...
No, but if you know, like you were saying, if you did, I mean, it's never been salted, so you think they never even started the process, right? I mean, that's what you think.
Okay, the Shach speaks it out. The Shach speaks it out and says that Dafka with Adacha Rishona. That's one klal you have to know. If there's no Adacha Rishona, it's awesome.
So this has to be Huda. This has to be it has to be Huda.
It has to be Huda.
Yeah.
The whole heter of the whole
Of the unsalted piece of
of the unsalted piece of meat is only when it's Huda.
How can anybody ever have a...
Because the Mechaber doesn't speak it out.
Well, if you're going to hold not like the smat, that the dam be'ein is not really the whole issue of why you have to do...
And the Chalami.
So then...
Yeah, and the Chalami. If you hold like this, if right.
It could also be...
If you hold the whole reason is because you have to soften the piece of meat.
Yeah.
It's for the Chalami.
Yeah.
We even hold that. We mach, but down be'en also.
Right.
So that's A.
But then it wouldn't work. Then how would the second salting help you?
You never did a salting.
In other words, how does ID work?
Oh,
You
you
did hadacha
no, you'll do Adacha.
Just
afterwards.
Afterwards, yeah. You'll do Adacha and you salt it,
Yeah.
and now it's going to work.
Yeah.
And the Chalami, if you don't like the smack, we hold the Chash is not down be'en.
Yeah.
Even without Adacha, it's going to work.
So you'd have to start again with that piece of meat. It's
Yeah.
not that this
Yeah.
piece
You
of
start
meat-
again with hadacha.
With
Right, you have to
Adacha.
start with hadacha.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Chalami.
So can we assume in the second case where everything's been done that adacha achrona was done? Is that or
Correct. The second case, if it's not Adacha Achrayna, that no. 1 second. No.
Which second case?
The second case-
Piece of meat?
Has to be
the
before.
one that?
Yeah, no. The second case where it was finished salted and the dam and the tzir came out.
Yeah.
So what's your question now?
So
Was that
is he
Huda?
assuming adacha?
Doesn't make a difference.
Can't be.
It doesn't. Adacha Achrayna
Yeah.
doesn't make the difference. We asked it anyway. Even if you did Adacha Achrayna, we asked it. Because what does Palat Kol Dama V'Tziroi, the Ramah says it's also. If it's Palat Kol Dama V'Tziroi, we're not maker with the Rabbi of the Rashba. We're going to hold this also. Right?
But the evidence we said it's mutter.
No, the Mechaber said so. The Mechaber said so. So you want to quote the Mechaber, but the evidence mutter is a mutter even though if you didn't do Adacha Achrayna. So that would depend on the seat beforehand. Right? Ma'aseh Rashi.
What?
That would depend on the seat
whether
before.
you have nikveh.
If you take that, it'll be close.
No, but the Rashba holds, even though it was closed in the Nikveh plate, if you resalt it afterwards, it's mutter. That's the Rabbi of Rashi. Even if it's no Adacha Achrayna, right? Doesn't make a difference.
We don't say that hadacha achrona. Once that's done, you do have hadacha achrona after you do melicha.
It's nishtam and Nikveh plate.
Yeah.
But the Rashba holds, the Rabbi of the Rashba hold, that if you resalt it again, it'll reopen. Right? That's
I
the.
didn't realize that he did. He holds that you had hadacha.
Even if you have, yeah. Oh, so good. We'll look back in the Shach, see Chavav that we started reading before. The Shach speaks there before us. The Shach says there.
Oh, taka.
Right, if you look in the middle of that Shach,
Yeah.
Which one?
the Shach says Khan Chavav. Right, the Shach says It says the Polat called Domai Vihudach. One shot. And then it says or it was Polat Domai Vitziroi. In the middle it says Vayesh Matirim Afilu B'Chahai Gavna. K'moisha Chachte B'Sifri B'Divei Rajba V'Taz Bayis Orach V'Hedio V'Chat Haimahu the Chehechet B'Matirim B'Bosta Shenimlach Vihudach Afilu Ein Boydam Shal Atzma V'Gam Nishtim and Nikfei Pleitasoi Afilu Hachi Choyzir Apollo Daidei Melich Achakach. The first Shach. Right?
Couldn't be any more first than that.
Hachanami, Paul Kfar Kotzir. Right? Even though he did a Doch Achroino, he even says it in there. Yeah. Even says it in there. So even if he did a Doch Achroino, it's going to work according to the advice of the Rajba. Fine. So says the Shach, we have to be talking about Hadacha Rishoyna for sure was done. A. Then the Shach says a little weiter, V'chein masha kosev Harav, dem loy nimlach klal, v'nofel l'tzir, mamish, fell the tzir, tehuter ha'idei Hadacha u'molicha achakach, mayri nami shehudach koydem shenofel l'tzir. So we have two cases over here. We have one case, a piece of meat that wasn't salted at all, and it was like hudach. Says the Shach, if it touches another piece of meat that was salted, the dam is coming out, it pushes the dam into the piece of meat and it asses it. So you have to have a dacha rishayna. Says the Shach, the same thing if you have a piece of meat that wasn't salted and wasn't washed, the dacha rishayna, and it fell into tzir. We said later on, it falls into tzir, the tzir goes in, and it asses the piece of meat. But you could do a melicha again, and it could be matter. Hadacha melicha and gematter. Says the Shach, the same thing over there. If it falls into tzir, we're going to need dafka if it was done hadacha rishayna. Because there's no hadacha rishayna done. What happens is the tzir pushes in the dam ba'en. The dam ba'en will ask the piece of meat. It's not going to help to do hadacha afterwards. Hadacha and melicha afterwards.
How can aser the meat and the tzir if it was aser in the first place?
No, it wasn't aser.
It was blood inside there.
No, so you take it out of melicha.
Okay, so
Melicha works, but the melicha won't work at dam ba'en.
Anyway.
No, but do melicha afterwards.
Yeah.
But at the dam ba'en, melicha won't work. So says the Shach, the same way I said over here, if you put two pieces of meat together, one wasn't nimlach and one was. The one that wasn't nimlach has to be after Hadacha Rishayna. The same thing falls into tzir, it has to be after Hadacha Rishayna. That's what the Shach says here.
Okay.
But, says the Shach, people argue. If you look the next line, the mai da swinan bossa shenimlach b'loya docha kamaisa shari hacha b'tzir. This is a very important shach to know. By tzir, if it falls into tzir, it will be mekel even without a dacha rishayna. Why? If you skip a few lines in the shach, it says, within Beis Sham Pirish Hatam, the ein koyach b'resichis hatzir elo lehisbala hi atzma. Tzir has koyach to be baleya itself into the piece of meat, but it can't be baleya the dam be'en on top of the piece of meat into the piece of meat. So Shach here brings the kula, he brings two sheetas over here to negate tzir. So we have to remember this when we get to tzir.
Say it one more time.
that if you have a piece of meat that wasn't salted, we said, if it's lying with a piece of meat that's being salted, it's mutter only if you did a dacha rishayna. But if that piece of meat that wasn't nimlach fell into tzir, we say it's also mutter yidei melicha afterwards, a new melicha. So you should need a dacha rishayna on that piece of meat also in order for it to be mutter. Says the Shach, no. A piece of meat without a dacha rishayna falls into tzir, you could still resalt it afterwards. Is that clear?
Because the tzir is not as powerful.
The tzir is not as powerful as dam coming out of a piece of meat that was salted. So the dam that comes out of a piece of meat that was salted pushes in the dam and also. But the tzir cannot push in the dam.
But you have it everything.
Yeah. So these 2 points are very important to know.
piece of meat without hadacha rishona falls into tzir, can be resalted.
According to one sheet in the Shach. Shach has two sheetas, and it says it could be resalted because the dam be'em doesn't get pushed in through tzir. We'll see later on the other kulas been negated tzir also. Okay. The Shach and Lamed. Afil b'di'ev noyag and lo Yisroi. For the mahani hadacha or malicha achakach afil tzliyase. So, but the Eved, we hold that if it was finished being salted, and it finished being polat damoy v'tziroi, and then it's beleya dam, it's also. Says the Shach, it's also even to the tzli, that dam sticks to the piece of meat and you can't get it out. Okay. Okay. The rest of the Shachs, you can see the rest of the Shachs are important, but they just explain the Pshat in the Ramah. So the kids of the Ramah just finished saying that if you have a piece of meat that was salted next to a piece of meat that was never salted, it's mutter, but if the piece of meat that the dam is falling onto was already salted and it's polat dama v'tziroi, we're not going to be mekel like the Rabbi of the Rashba, and you can't resalt it. You can't resalt it. And it depends if it's 12 hours or 36 or 24 hours. 12 hours, within 12 hours will make no matter what. After 12 hours, only behefsid meruba will make up.
When he says that, I feel a bit the Ebenoik and Lichtenstein, he's talking about at that point, how many hours?
No, Philip David Lichtenstein is only in the case if nafal batusek fa polat called dama v'tzira. You want how many hours?
Immediate.
Yeah. Because it says here, Eitel Basar Shleisho Adayin Shir Malika.
So he says. So the Ramah says, V'yesh Oimrim Shekol Meis Leis La'achashim Lach Pilot Tzir.
That's the Yesh Oimrim. That's
yeah, and that's Hefsim Meruba Mekel Da Yesh Oimrim. The Yesh Oimrim in the Ramah is explaining what he just said.
Right. He said the Yesh Oimrim Shekol Meis Leis.
Then we say it still will pilot its dam that comes into it. Okay?
If it's within 24 hours.
Right. And some people say only 12, so you should be machmer only 12. Perhaps the meruba you can make up to 24 hours. Now, the very important Taz here also, which the Taz really is negayah later on in the Ramah, but we'll see it now anyway. The Taz says in Sivka and Tez Zayin, V'im naga teichz manzeh within the shir melicha, it's mutter. Einay neser ki u'shay dayin tared liftay tzir shaloi paldet nami mashabola mechaticha shaloi nimlach. Because the Ramah b'tar is chatas, the haine dafker shaloi hudach habosar hanimlach achar hamalicha. This is only if you didn't do a dacha achroina on the piece of meat. You said that piece of meat was shor shem malicha, it's still mutter. For short of 12 hours, maybe even 24 hours. But if you did a dacha achroina on the piece of meat, then already nishmas nikfei plater and it stays also. Right?
Because ID doesn't apply anymore.
Right, because it's not pilot it's dam anymore.
It can be belay, but it can't be
pilot. Nishmas nikfei plater. So the whole Ramah that says you have 12 hours or 24 hours is only without a dacha achroina. Once you did a dacha achroina, everything is lost.
If you say nishmas nikfei plater, which means nothing comes out anymore, can something get in?
Yeah. A piece of meat can always be belaya.
Well, yeah, but if you're saying this to Nikveh Plater, then what's the score for it to
because
get
it doesn't go in through the
Nikveh Plater.
It comes out.
Yeah, it's a one-way valve.
Yeah.
But some say even after Corona it still can be worked.
That's the Rashba. If it be salted, we don't go with that. We don't go with that.
You know, we say two things. We say on one side that there is only Nikveh Plater comes out and then there is nothing. But on the other side we say if it's busy liflot, it will not bring in. So right. From which holes? Because if the holes that are coming out with the thing is only...
It's only for dam.
We are saying the same thing. You're saying something else.
It's
It's interesting question.
on dam, and the other one works on.
We thought about that too. When you say I did a Torah lo bola,
Right.
I thought the reason was
Because
if you imagine like one
Pipes.
Right.
coming out, so it can't go in that
Right.
One-way street.
That's
One-way
kind of why you imagine.
So if it can't go out, you're saying with stuff, it's not going to get in.
Exactly.
The same tube, how does it get in?
Exactly.
Yeah.
If the nikva plita is going,
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Okay, it's a good question.
But sear can go through.
no, where?
No, it's what dam.
Yeah.
Let's talk about dam.
Sorry?
Let's talk about dam. How does dam get in? If the reason why I tell Michel because it's the same
The
thing,
pipe
it's
is
pushing
closed.
it out.
It's stuck there.
So don't look at it. So don't look at Ayatar Mifal Ebola. Don't look at it as if it's a one tube that puts it out and therefore can't come in. Ayatar Mifal Ebola means when a piece of meat is pushing out its dam, it can't accept dam.
So
Can't
it's kind
accept
of
dam.
making itself wider, so
It's pushing out dam. It can't accept dam. It can accept other things, but dam it can't accept. Once it's pushing out its dam, it can't accept dam. So you have to look at it. It's
But we shouldn't look at it so like scientific.
right. If you look very scientifically,
Look at it as if there's that one tube,
if you look at one tube, then you'll be stuck.
and then it goes out. And then
look at it as two tubes, and one opens, one gets closed, and one closed gets one open.
If you look at it as one tube, you're going to be stuck. Yeah. If you look at it as one tube, you get stuck. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what
Okay.
it should be.
So the task speaks out at Sivka and Tazayin. That the cost of the mob is Chatas Hayan Dafkashle Hudach Abasa and Nimlach Achar Amalicha. Avalam Hudach Achar Amalichasa Loyam Mi and Yaks of Yim Lechenu. Vayetzi at Sir Shabalaya Ayde at Sir Shabagufoy. The Maachash and Nimlach Pam Echad Vahudach Nistamim Nikve a plate of a Shuv Loy Yiftachu Bishvil at Sir Shaboy Ad Kal Nashayna. Once it's finished being salted, even though it's still seared there, once the dam came out, you salted, you washed it off, Nistabu Nikve a plate, and it's done. That's what the Taz is down. Now, the problem here is that we'll see later on when we get to tzir, if it falls into tzir, the piece of meat falls into tzir, even if it's in the middle of its process, or even achashem ulicha, so you take it out and you resalt it. We'll see later on. How do you wash it off to resalt it? That's what we need task kash over. You can't wash it off to resalt it. Once you're washing it off, it's nisma nikvei plata. So, right? That's a major question. I will see in the Shach later on how it takes care of that question.
Very fast washing.
Yeah, so the Shach says it doesn't have to be a regular washing. It could be, the Taz says Tzarechim. This long Taz in Tez Zayin says that we see later on, by Tzir, you wash it off and you salt it again and Tzir comes out. If you're washing it off, it's Nistam Nikvei Plata. So the Taz says Tzarechim, and he says, on the Chanami, the Ramah is going with the other Shitas that hold that there's no din of Nistam Nikvei Plata. Which is a big chiddush. The Shach says not that way. The Shach says it is nisma nikvei plata, but we're talking about a case where he did a very small hadacha, and that's enough to take off the tzir. We'll see the Shach later on and see if cotton lamed tetz. Okay. Let's move on to the Ramah.
Yeah, we have 7.
So the Ramah says, "V'kol shekin lo nimlach klal dafilim nafal the tzir mamish, even if it falls in the tzir, ein le'esroi damrinan aydei sheyifloi dam didei." Gam Masha That's what we say. Not like the Yeshua in the Mechaber. We're going to say it falls into the tzir, it absorbs the tzir. When it's part of its own dam, it'll be part of the tzir with it. You have a piece of meat, you salted it already, and it fell into tzir. The halacha is yesh lahatir. You can be matir it. How you matir it? What's the yesh lahatir over here? It fell into tzir. You pick it up, it's full of tzir. How you matter it? So the Ramah says a few lines later, how you matter it? By yachzav v'yim lechenu. You have to resalt it. We have to wash it off first. Yidechenu v'yachzav v'yim lechenu. And we'll see how you can do adacha. It says the Ramah, im loy nichmas b'toicha yom shalem. If it didn't sit in the tzir for 24 hours, because if it sits in the 24 hours, Kavash Hareu Kimavoshal. Kavash Hareu Kimavoshal. Now, the problem here is that the tzir is salty, and we know that in salty tzir, you only have 24 hours. You need shir, she'itnu ala HVATiach is enough. That's the Shach's kasha and the Taz's kasha. So if you look in the Taz, the long Taz, Yud Zayin starts off Tamua. Fully. The im nichbash yom shalom my area tzir full of mayim nami.
How long is the shira Kadesh Yitnu? Would it be 18 minutes?
18 minutes, yeah. Where's that? The ask later on.
Time to boil water, right?
Boil water.
Maybe less than 18 minutes.
No, it takes a minute.
Yeah.
We're talking
How
about
big the pot?
Exactly.
How big pot?
It's a big pot. The biggest
If you look at the Taz further down in middle, I'm sorry, in the old Shulchan Aruch, it's like 2/3 of the way down. But the old Shulchan Aruch, it's the second line of the widest lines.
Yom Shalem.
U'chidumo shetor sefer yesh kan hach yom shalem. You see it?
Yeah.
You have it in the Shulchan Aruch.
Where is it? In the big
In the old ones, it's the
second
second widest line.
Lines down
Okay.
the white lines. The first word on the line. Uchaduma.
U'chidumo shetor sefer yesh kan hach yom shalem. V'tzarich loymed em lo nichbet v'teichei shir kvisha. Aval em shah sham v'shir kvisha aser. So which means, you're only 24 hours, even in a short amount of time will be awesome. So you have a big machlokes here. The Taz says there's a mistake here in the Ramah, and he learns the Ramah, if we're lying in the tzir for a sheer kvisha, it's already awesome. And the Shach asks the Kash, and it gives two terutzim. And we have to see both terutzim. The Shach says over here, right away, Lamed ha-yesh lahatir, if it falls into tzir yesh lahatir, kisha yidchenu, only after you wash it off, v'yachzer v'yim lechenu, v'chamash kosav v'rav v'kamam v'samach. That's Lamed Hey. Look at Lamed Vav. In the Nichmas Teich Yom Shalem. So he asks, Ken kosav v'gar shayadura al shem Rabbeinu Shimshon, u'mevia Rabbi to his chata sham den tes, aval teimo, the Kamon Reish Simekufei Sasam Kedivrei Amechaber Baruch Dimu Kavish B'Tzir that Oyin is Kadesh Nenu Al Ur V'Yartiach V'Yaskal is Bash Havakim Avushal Ad Kan L'Shoyna. So he gives two terutzim. V'Yesh Loymar V'Loik Omar Hasam Havakim Avushal Elo Havakim Avushal Elo L'Shar Mili Aval Loy L'Inyan Basar the Hekim Avushal Mamish. So the Shach's first teretz is that you need a Yom Shalom here. You know why? Because the only time he said before that Kadesh Nena al Eshvi Atiach has a din, Chavish K'Mavushal is for Sharmili. But in the Gay Dam, that it becomes this bashal in the piece of meat and you can't get out anymore, that needs a full 24 hours.
Sharmili means what? Blias.
Blias. Yeah, but not in the Gay Dam.
Like Isra.
Isra, yeah. But not in the Gay Dam. One teretz. So according to this teretz, you'll always need 24 hours. V'oidesh loymar, says the Shach a few lines later, T'hacha akarchach mayri b'kli menukiv. We're talking about a kli menukiv. The ibe ein letzir mokum lozov. If the tzir doesn't have a mokum lozov, sfilei le'rav le'mahani hadocha molicha shenis. It won't help. So like a commercial echter with sif cotton mem. Vim came near the hacha rush moed have a cover shall be yem shalem. So rush cover the head ya klish enim menukiv like kli menukiv. So he said like this: if it's a kli menukiv, so it's going out most of the dam, then you need is relying on the seer yem shalem. But if it's a klish enim menukiv, then within the shir sheitna al eshvi atiach is enough. So you have two terutzim here in the Shach.
Oh, a shorter shir is enough.
It's enough to ask when it falls on the tzir. So we have here the Shach said, the Ramah says, if it falls into tzir, then if it wasn't covered in the tzir, then you could re-salt it again. You could wash it off and re-salt it. What does it mean it wasn't covered in the tzir? The Taz learns only shir shvinen al eshvi atiach, like he says, he changes the girsa. I'll tell you safer in the Ramah. The Shach gives two terutzim. One teretz says it always needs 24 hours because the whole din bishul has not been negated the din of the Duma Licha a second time. And the second teretz says is a chiluk between a kli menukiv and a kli she'enoi menukiv. A kli menukiv will be more mekel, you need 24 hours. A kli she'eini menukiv will answer right away within 18 minutes. So again, if it falls in, if it falls into tzir, yesh lahatir im lo nishmas b'teicha yom shalom. Achem shor Hashem ulicha v'nofel tzir, yesh oisvin oisai af bishlo kol zman pleitas tziroi adayin. So here, if it was in the shir either 24 hours or shir kvisha, yesh oisvin oisai. Achem shor Hashem ulicha v'nofel tzir. How about if it was a shir ulicha already? And now it fell into tzir. Till now I was talking about a case where it wasn't shor Hashem Melicha. But in a case where it was shor Hashem Melicha when nafal tzir, yesh oisrin oisoi afa pishlei kol hazman pleitas tziroi adayim. Some people will answer it, even though it was not finished pleitas tziroi, because once it falls into the tzir, we answer it right after shor Hashem Melicha. U'makamakam tzarech hefsed gadol yesh lahatir gam b'zeh kol hazman pleitas tziroi. So here it falls into tzir. La'achas shor Hashem Melicha. The Ramah says the Machmirim that's going to say is also, it stays also. The truth is we could let's make a quick recap what happened till now, because that's where the other inyanim. So we started off the sif. The Chazzarah brought out 3 shitas, right? The first shita was that we asked her if a piece of meat that was not salted yet, or even if it was salted, el dam came out already and absorbed salt, it's also b'choifin. For yesh matirim, the first yesh matirim is or matirit. If it was never salted yet, we'll matir it. If it was salted, we're going to answer it. And the third shita is that even if it was salted already and it's closed, this plate will reopen to spit out the dam. The Ramah says that the eved, but machmir, so the Mechaber says lechatchil yesh lachash b'diavad it's mutter. And the Ramah says that in the last case, where it was finished being salted, nistama nikvei plato, we're not going to make it even with the eved. But if it wasn't nistama nikvei plato yet, it was still in the middle of the shir of pilot tzir, will be mekel. What's the shir of pilot tzir? Either 12 hours, lechatchila, we'll mekel on that. After 12 hours, only behefsed meruva will mekel. And we said the Shach speaks out, that's only if you did adacha rishayna. If you did adacha rishayna, there's not going to be a kula because the dam be'en goes back in.
And in the other case of the Machaber, the Ramah agrees that it's not lonim lachklal.
Yeah, lonim lachklal. The Ramah agreed they can resalt it.
Right.
And the Shach says only if you did adacha rishayna. The adacha rishayna you can resalt it. Then we spoke out. The Taz says that if even within the shir of pilot tzir, if you did adacha achrayna, it's a minisma nikra pleta, and it's a mikam aser. Then we spoke out, the Shach says that how about by tzir, it falls into tzir, which we just spoke about now. If it falls into tzir, we'll see you could re-salt it. Says the Shach, how about if you do it adacha rishayna, you based it on machlokes, if you can make it without adacha rishayna when it falls into tzir, because it could be tzir, it doesn't push in the dam be'en. Then the Ramah continues and he says that if it falls into tzir, so if it was not in the shir of Yom Shalom, says the Ramah, then it's okay. It wasn't kavish b'toichayv, 24 hours is okay. We spoke out, the Taz says it means dafka the shir of kvisha, much less than the Yom Shalom. It answers right away. The Shach brings down two trutzim. One teretz says that it's within the shir. One teretz says that it's not bish. Even though we say in Simon Kofei that Misheshet Nena al Urbi Atiach is called kavish already. That's only kavish k'mavushal. When we gave other places, when we gave dinei dam, we say it doesn't have a dinner kavish k'mavushal yet till 24 hours, or it makes a klal between a kli menukiv and a kli she'enoi menukiv. Then the Shach speaks out that if it falls in the tzir, there are some achmirim, that even if you are, that once it's finished the shir melicha 18 minutes, you can't go ahead and take care of the tzir that went into it. So he says, perhaps some meruba you could be mekel, and then the Ramah speaks out how you mekel. You wash it and you resalt it. The washing and the resalting it, the Shach says is not a problem because the washing is not a real washing, and the Taz says that will be the same washing as a regular washing, which will be nistabu nikvei hapleta, but the Ramah is not going with that shita of nistabu nikvei hapleta. That's a quick recap of what we said till now. Now says the Moabite, the Chazzarah Mayri, Chazzarah Mayri, Elabit Sir Shukar Reseach. Sear that comes out from the piece of meat, can be avoided the El Simon Samach Test. Aval Dam Be'en. Dam Be'en is not Dam Plata. Dam Plata is Dam that came out through salting. Dam Be'en is any Dam that did not come out through salting. So this whole halachas that we had till now, we're only talking about Sear or Dam that came out through Plata. But Dam Be'en that falls onto a piece of meat, Shanafa Abasa should take Shir Melichasai, even if it's still take Shir Melichasai. V'chashav k'reseach and b'vuri l'chamatzim inside the aleph neser habasar y to the gabi dam be'en loy amin and ayded tar l'mifad loy bala. So when the Shach says, when the Moshe says over here that teich shim l'chasai, because if it's not teich shim l'chasai and dam be'en falls onto the piece of meat, it's cold. Right? If it's after shim l'licha, it's just wash it off. The whole chumras here were that dam from a salted piece of meat fell on a different piece of meat. So there the dam is called resicha, because it's coming from a salted piece of meat. But dam that comes dam be'en that comes from any place else where it's not hot, it doesn't go into the piece of meat. Only if the piece of meat itself is salted, it's teich shir melichasai. Then we say if it falls onto the piece of meat, then it asks the piece of meat dam be'en. But la'achar shir melichasai is not a problem.
Not meat. It's just a I think little bit. You can cut it off, this piece.
No, we hold the asas b'kulai. See, so we don't hold the Lipa.
It's going to be like this piece of steak.
The whole thing, we hold the Eliezer shishim. There's no shishim we're talking about. If you look in the Shachsiv Cotton Mem Dalit, we're taking shim with the Chasai. Hainu dafka behefsa meruba v'sudas mitzvah gam kain. Dem loiken afilu la'achar shim with the Chasai. Chashav kireseach l'kamot simitzad the Aleph Sif Hey. We see later on in simitzad the Aleph Sif Hey that this that we say only teich shim with the Chasai is called reseach is only behefsa meruba and tzarech mitzvah. But otherwise we say a piece of meat is considered hot even after 18 minutes. So if dam be'ed is going to fall on a piece of meat that was salted, even after the 18 minutes, it's still going to be nivla to the piece of meat, because it's called reseach. Nesa basal gabi dam be'en le'mina aidatar lifleit le'bola v'loy kebola kachpoltai doesn't work. Now v'hoda asmin and oisek snafel etzir. This that we said before, that in certain cases when it falls into tzir, it's aser. Only something that's inside the tzir itself. Avama shelamayla min hatzir, whatever is above the tzir, shari is mutter. We had this before already. That anything above the tzir is mutter. Why? Because the dam cannot travel, the tzir cannot travel up the piece of meat.
Doesn't say klipa?
Miyua.
Doesn't say have to remove klipa?
Yeah, klipa you have to remove.
Yes.
Mashal mayla min hatzir shari. It means higher than a klipa. Right, if you look in the Sivkot Memhei, Shari Damin Feil Mala, Phil Oisam Mixtasha Betsish, Shamein Mutter Kedleel, Wachit as Chatas, Umi Choitech Gam Kain, Kedei Klipa, Mashmalei Chatzir. You have to cut off a klipa above what's outside the tzir. Umi Mashmalei Chatzir, Nesem Yad, Ve'ein Shir Ladovar. Whatever's in the tzir we had beforehand, whatever's in the tzir becomes asa right away. You don't have to wait a shir. Right away it becomes asa. And how much the Shachas Siv Katan Memvav, we don't have time to go through it now, but the Shachas Siv Katan Memvav says maybe only Kedei Klipa, it asers, but also we hold anyway that we're not Michel within Kochash and Shomein, so we're going to aser anyway, whatever's in the tzir, we're going to aser the whole thing. Good? Basa Shanafal Teich Tzir Shal Kaka, piece of meat that fell into the tzir is flying on the kaka. And my question is going to be, is kaka called the Kli Menukiv, or is kaka called the Kli She'eni Menukiv? So dinak ilu haisa tzir b'kli, it's like it's in a kli what? She'eni menukiv. And therefore it's going to become aser.
Simple ground?
Simple ground. Only earth ground. If it's a hard ground.
But usually it's a
porous. Yeah, but it's called,
rain goes through.
But machma is called the kli she'eni menukiv because it doesn't always absorb all the way to the ground, it could pile up on top. What? Yeah, hard ground is sicher called the Kli She'eni Menukiv. Yeah. Basa shenaga b'chaticha shenimlecha b'Kli She'eni Menukiv, piece of meat that touched
So you said before that on the ground it's like kli.
Kli menukiv. Kli she'ein menukiv. With machmer it's a kli she'ein menukiv.
Kli she'ein.
Right.
With machmer it should be like kli she'ein menukiv. If you look in the Shach, Sivkon Mem Zayin. Zelfs want das gaat zo den ges kassen met gaat zo door de stapel im kaka mikkel kli menukiv.
Okay.
We machen as a kli she'ein menukiv. Only be the gear on the bottom. No, we're not. What the Torah Chat as a mechalik is that a kli she'ein menukiv. We say the dam is spiritual mokel and mokaim, and that's even what's on top of the seer. So that far we're not going to be machmer over here. That far we're not going to be machmer. Even what's above the seer is also.
So it has like a little bit of features of both.
Right.
That's Shach and Mem Zayin.
Shach and Mem Zayin, yeah.
That's the topic of karka mikre kli menukav. Lochein mashu malum metzir shari. He seems to say that from Tzartzchat that it's a kli menukav, and therefore it fell. It fell when.
No, so if you look at the Shach. The Shach says Dafke melach mogen ze ene menukie voor de asamir af mas kasel el de af mas goed latsier as a full rav nafal tek shim lichel tsier ben menukie maar gemak hem hoge gabe karke shari mas goed latsier kiven de mesap gelon die hebben een menukie verloy das am gut voor khum ba amhi leesa mas goed latsier but dan mas kasel sim samach tes kan samach tes besafik hem nafal kait mis shim lichel goed shim menukie verlach shim lichel de shari mas goed latsier my time. It means if this basa is lying on the karka as a kli she'ein menukiv, the garment, then nothing is awesome. Even what's lying in the seer is not awesome. But kli she'ein menukiv, even what's lying in the seer is not awesome. Only by kli menukiv what's lying in the seer is awesome. You can't say this is considered kli she'ein menukiv the gamri, because then even what's in the seer is mutter. Right?
Then you get into the whole discussion, the whole story of Ma'aseh Rashi again.
No, Ma'aseh Rashi is after Shem Licha. Here we're talking about even before Shem Licha.
What is this piece?
Seer. What seer is? Seer is from a.
No, the bosser.
The bosser itself. Okay, that's what the Shach speaks out of here. What the piece mean itself, but the seer it fell into is not Ma'aseh Rashi. The seer it fell into it's seer that's also. It's from a piece of meat that was salted. Take Shem Licha.
Seer from somebody else.
Yeah, seer from a different piece of meat. So then it becomes usher.
Well, why is that not? If it's not, wait. Ma'aseh Rashi is after it was already
its own piece.
Right.
After it was nimlach. And it took it out. It put it in a different bowl.
Right.
So now what's coming out is only tzir. It's not dam b'chlal. Here we're talking about they put it into tzir of a piece of meat that was teich shem l'chasai. Piece of meat was teich shem l'chasai gathered tzir, and then another piece of meat fell into that.
On the ground.
On the ground.
Why is there a difference between its own piece and another piece?
The other piece of meat was in the Shem Melicha. Ma'aseh Rashi is it's after Shem Melicha. So after Shem Melicha, that's the child of Ma'aseh Rashi.
What's the state of the piece which fell?
One second. The tzir that fell into.
But anytime you have tzir, it has to be after shir melicha.
No, not dafka.
No. Because first comes out blood, then comes out tzir.
Yeah, but tzir can be within Shem Melicha. Tzir can be within Shem Melicha also. It's so-called tzir.
Tzir comes out all the time.
Yeah, the token we had.
Right, but how do you know what?
The token we had here, it fell to tzir. One second. If it fell to tzir here, it says I have enough of tzir. According to Rashi, it's mutter. All these cases are only in cases not like Rashi.
I don't know.
No, tzir means it fell to a piece of meat was salted.
During shir melicha.
Yeah, during shir melicha.
But how do you?
Tzir means dam. Tzir here means dam. Yeah. The case of Rashi calls it.
Tzir as being something that happens after 12 hours.
No, that's called mol.
No, mol is after that.
No, Rashi says whatever comes out after Shem Melicha is called mol.
That is called tzir.
No, that is called seer. After
Called
dam
seer, that's what
comes
it says.
seer.
No.
That's what it
No.
says.
Seer could be even within the Shem Melicha, we call it seer. If something falls into seer, it means seer is dam.
Why is it put seer? Why is it put
Seer,
dam?
seer, when it falls into a puddle of liquid, that we call it seer. Dam the whole time is dam falling on a piece of meat onto another piece of meat.
So why do we worry? When do we say that we're worrying that it's falling into blood?
You'll never find, I don't think so, that the piece of meat is sitting in dam. It's always called sitting in seer.
But in the first 18 minutes, that's down.
That what we call it seer. When it's sitting in a puddle, it's called seer. You'll never find that a piece of meat is sitting in dam. It's always called it sitting in seer. What does seer mean? Seer means the accumulation of the dam in the bowl.
Bloody water.
Bloody water. That's what it is basically. In the seer, there's dam.
So there's no this idea that seer comes after 12 hours.
No, that's what it means. Seer is within the.
Seer stops after 12 hours.
It could be.
But they're different because
We said that seer.
we said Melicha is
After
18 minutes
Melicha's
and
finished,
seer is
after
12
Melicha's
hours.
over, then there's no more blood that comes out after 12 hours.
Right, the
And
seer
then
is coming
it comes out.
Right.
That could be, but the seer is still coming out. And it's not dam. It's called
In
seer.
the first 12 hours, seer comes out with blood. After that's what it is. Blood stops after 12 hours.
No, blood could stop after 18 minutes.
After
Blood
seer
stops,
Melicha
yeah.
after 18 minutes, and
Right.
then
And you got seer
seer
for 12
keeps
hours.
going until 12 hours.
Right.
And then after 12 hours, that's when you get moil.
No. Rashi calls anything after 18 minutes. Rashi calls moil. That's what it is. It's mutter.
But
It's not usher. Seer, this heter is called mol. Seer the isura, you call it dam. Let's phrase it that way. Let's phrase it that way. Seer the heter is called mol, and seer the isura is called dam.
And 18 minutes is the...
Seer could come out even from the very beginning, even after 1 minute.
Yeah.
What comes out,
Yeah.
it could be called seer.
Yeah, what's
but
lying
it's
in the
more
thing.
serious seer.
Correct.
It's a dam
Seer
seer.
the isura.
Correct.
So
Yeah,
seer
seer.
is basically blood.
When we're saying here the whole time, it's lying in seer. What does it mean it's lying in seer?
well,
It means not like Rashi? All these, the whole Ramah is not like Rashi?
Yeah.
No, it's lying in seer. It's talking about it's seer which is dam. It's also it's a shor also. It came from a
but
piece
we
of
always said that
information.
this, like seer has different properties than dam does. I'm trying to think of an example of when
Dam is
Yes,
restructuring
yes.
and
For
seer
one
is not.
Seer
Correct.
continues to be absorbed, even if you have IV Ditari.
Correct.
And blood does not.
Seer definitely has different properties than dam. Because seer is what gathers up in the bottom, it's called seer. Dam is straight dam, coming out of a piece of meat onto another piece of meat, that's called dam.
Right.
Seer is the gathering in the bottom of the...
ID doesn't apply. ID does apply to blood. It doesn't apply to seer.
Yeah, because why not? Because seer it's sitting in the water. It can't be ID. And if it would be blood on the bottom, also there wouldn't be an ID. It's not because it's seer over dam. It's because it's sitting in a puddle of whatever you want to call it. It's called seer. Hope that's clear.
It's clear. It's just
What?
a Kiddush.
Yeah.
It is for me too, like, I would have felt the same thing.
No,
I think
seer.
we all. That's
No,
not
seer-
I remember you saying way back,
Yeah.
that seer happens all the way through. You were clear about that.
Seer can
happens
continue.
all the way through.
Yeah, even though there's no dam coming out,
Yeah.
there's still seer. But seer could come out in the beginning also.
True, but there is a point at which dam stops and seer continues.
That's true.
That's right.
And that's 18
But,
minutes.
right, but you can't say if someone's lying in seer, that means lying in heter.
Yeah. It
No.
could be dummy.
It could be seer the surah.
But if you take
It's
the
seer
18
the
minutes
surah.
and wait and take out that seer and remove it, and now it's sitting in the seer that came after the 18 minutes, can that be a seer that is mutter?
That's what the Russian says.
Rashi also said after 18 minutes is mutter.
So if you put it out,
It's called mahol.
if you put it out, and again put it in the blood,
Are seared or so.
Right, seer the surah. Right.
You did malicha on a
Right.
complete
It's
manuka.
seer that came from a piece of meat within the 18 minutes.
So after you moved it,
we
there was no
don't
reduction.
Right.
hold like this.
The case of Rashi is the case of Rashi is an old piece of meat. We salted
We
it.
don't hold like this.
And afterwards, Shem Malichi took it out and he put it into another kli. So now, after 18 minutes, Rashi holds...
in the cliche and menukav to
You
start with?
you salted in a kli menukav. You took it out and you put it into a cliche and menukav. And now you see something is gathering there. So Rashi says, yeah, that's seer that Torah, it's mol. It's mutter.
Do we hold like this?
It's machlekes. That's machlekes. The Ramah is machmer. The Ramah is machmer.
He said.
Yeah, the Ramah is
Machmer.
Yeah. So that's the case. I was telling you before. The case of Rashi is it's not its own piece. It's its own piece of meat. You took it out from the kli she'ein menukav and you put it into kli menukav, and now when it's sitting in that kli, something is gathering in the kli. Now whatever is gathering in the kli, Rashi holds, that's heter. That's seer the Torah. Right? That's what Rashi holds. So now,
you might think the same thing about falling into a puddle. You might think the same, like on the floor.
No, so the puddle on the floor, who says we're talking about that the puddle came from a piece of meat that was already after 18 minutes? We're talking about the puddle came from a piece of meat within the 18 minutes.
Okay, so that's the difference.
Yeah. It's seer the surah. So it fell into that seer, getting back to our case over here. So it fell into that seer about the karka. So it has a din like a kli she'ein menukav that will asa the piece of meat. But, says the shach, that it's not such a din of kli she'ein menukav that if a piece of meat that's salted, that's in the middle of being salted, falls into it, when you say that it moves around the dam on top of it, and the whole piece of meat is also. We had before in Semicha samach tes, if you put a piece of meat that's salted into tzir, what happens is, according to one shita, it moves around on the top and it can't get out. So the whole piece of meat is also because it's dam shapirish b'makam l'makam. Says the shach, he won't say that over here. Fine. Basa shenoga b'chaticha shenimlecha b'kli she'ein menukav v'nesra, dina ikil noga b'tzir. Meaning, a piece of meat that was nimlecha b'kli she'ein menukav and it became aser, then it spits out its dam afterwards, and a piece of meat is touching it. That dam that comes out is called like tzir. It's not called dam ba'en. It's called dam pleta. And the piece of meat that absorbed it could spit it out together when it's spitting out its own meat. We don't look at it now as that dam is called isser, no matter what, and you can't be matter if it falls into something else. Safek tzir, safek mayim. I'm not sure if it's tzir, I'm not sure if it's water. Mutter. Why? The tzir dirabanan. Tzir is dirabanan. And why is tzir dirabanan?
But first 18 minutes of...
Okay, here you got it. Look in the shach. According to all of you, tzir d'rabbanan. What's tzir? Tzir is mutter, right? Tzir is not dam. Tzir is tzir. Right? Look in the shach. Mem test. Tzir d'rabbanan pirish. The dam shamalcha any element d'rabbanan. Right? He's going on tzir. Now, if there's dam and then there's tzir afterwards, so the shach says, the Ramah says, safek tzir, safek mayim mutter. The tzir d'rabbanan. What does it mean tzir d'rabbanan? Says the shach. Because dam shamalcha any element d'rabbanan. Who's talking about dam? Who's talking about tzir? There's a tzir is dam.
There's dam in the tzir.
Yeah, there's dam in the tzir. Yeah. But it's tzir, the yisura with dam inside. Because dam shamalcha any element d'rabbanan. Tzir ma'urev v'mayim. If you have tzir mixed with water, afilu hoya mayim mu'atim loicha shivi oida seyach. If you have tzir, which comes out from the piece of meat, now it's a liquid, so usually tzir is with seyach, and it goes back into anything that falls into it. If there's water mixed into it, even a little bit of water, it kills its strength, and now it won't, it's still aser, but it won't have the koyach of a sicha to put it into another piece of meat, and it'll be mutter.
What's the chiddush of this over ches?
Chiddush of what?
Tzir me'ur mayim afilu hoya hamayim mu'atim.
What do you mean ches? No, I don't think it's a different chiddush. Okay. No, once you have water, it kills it. Yeah. It says over there.
Same words even. Mayim mu'atim.
Right.
He talks about a dafan, and once that happens,
right. The Ramah says it. That's right. And this time I think it's the same halacha.
Okay.
Fine. I hope we haven't got this clear.
Close.